Hey guys, so today we are going to model the guitar. So let's get right to it, shall we? We start by adding in the plane. We'll go into the Object tab, then we'll leave the width as it is, but the height will change it to 600 centimeters. From there, we'll go into our materials, then add in a Corona physical material. Click on the physical material, click on base layer. In the textures, let's add in a texture. Go into preview, change it from default to the highest there. This will ensure that our image is the highest resolution in the viewport. Drag it to the plane. So now it applies neatly to the plane. So you press R on the keyboard to enable the rotate gizmo, then click, rotate it 90 degrees. Hold down shift to snap it to 90. Alright, now that we have done this, let's close the materials tab. Now, see this right here? We'll click on it. We'll go into the front view. Then we'll change the display from lines to ground shading lines. Then from there, we have our reference in front view arrangement. Alright, so we'll click on our plane. Then in the coordinates tab, we set the Z axis to 10 centimeters. This will allow our splines to show because we're going to be making use of splines. Now we go here, click on this. This is the spline pen tool. Then we'll zoom into our reference by using the scroll wheel. I'm going to start here. Click and drag. We'll press 1 on the keyboard and move. Then to that point, click and drag. So what we're going to do now is to trace out the geometry. If you make a mistake, just press Ctrl Z. So we're going to do this for the entire geometry. Now we cannot really see what is here, but I can guess. I use the broom to hold the guitar in place. I couldn't find the guitar stand. Alright, click and drag. Now I'm adding the points at every valley. So like here now, we'll adjust this later on. Click and drag. Don't worry, we'll get back to it. Click and drag. No. Click and drag. Click and drag. No. Click and drag. Click and drag. Then click. We're done. We are going to use the pen tool, then click on the point, the spline pen tool, then click on the point. You hold down shift, then click on the gizmo to adjust the gizmo length. So we'll do this till our guitar comes together nicely. Try your best not to do any weird thing like this. Try your best not to do anything weird, any weird exaggerated movement. But I feel like I should move this a little bit here. Then click on this, shift, extend a little bit. Then go here, click, shift, extend a little bit. I'll go up. Okay, this is almost fine. Extend a little bit. Click here. Now, if you want to adjust this to, you just click and move. But if you want to break it, you hold down shift. I hope that makes sense. Don't be scared of making a mistake. Trust me. This is how you learn, by playing with this thing over and over and over again. So here we're going to extend this. So this is our guitar body. So now let's click on this and go back to the perspective view. We click on spline, hold down Alt, go into the modifiers tab and add in extrude. This will put the spline under the extrude modifier. Our guitar body is extruded. So can I just click on the extrude modifier, go into the objects tab and lower the offset to like 30 centimeters. Okay, I feel it's still too thick. So let's make it more like 25, yeah. Let's make it 25 centimeters. This looks great. So now with this, let's look at our topology. Go into the display ground shading lines. So we need some geometry here. So to get that, click on extrude, go into caps, change it from end guns to regular grid. This will help our geometry work out fine. So now with this, we can now press C on our keyboard to convert this from a parametric object, since it has parameters, into an editable mesh. Right now it's an editable mesh. So now we're going to use the remesh modifier because I want the topology to be very good. So we'll press Alt again, go into the modifier tab, then add in the remesh. Wait for a little bit, and now we have a good topology. I can lower the density a bit if I don't want to be dense. But if you lower the density too much, you will lose dexterity. So let's say, yeah, 70% looks good. So with this now, we can now add the subdivision surface modifier to it. Let me disable the plane. Let me enter ground shading. This looks good. Alright, now that we have modeled our body, let's model the neck and the head and start adding our details. Let me call this our head. No, our body. Let me call this our body. Then let's hide this for now. We hide by using this button here. This button hides. So let's enable our plane. For the neck, I think I would like to use a different reference. I would like to, we are using the spline pen. So when you click around, it will create a new spline. So change back to the move tool. I want to use a different reference for the neck. So I'm going to change it to this. I think I'm going to use a basic cube. So I'm going to add in a cube, enable X-ray, go into the model mode, then lower this, bring this inside a little bit more. So move this till I feel like it has the height and length that I want to work with. Alright, I think this looks great. Note, I didn't move it at any fixed distance. I'm working by eye here. I'm just working with the ratio and working by eye. So I'm going to enable the body, and based on the fact that we're just using this reference for getting the ratio, getting the scale, right? So I'm going to move this reference out of the way for now. Then this disable X-ray, then I'll move this into place now. So we are using this for reference. So which should be our back? Okay, this is the back. I'll click on the body. Then in the coordinates, I'll rotate it by 180 degrees so that we can work with it in this orientation. Alright, so let me move the head, the neck of the guitar into place. And we have this. This looks nice. Like, I think it fills the entire frame. Yeah, it does. I'm going to move it forward a little bit. And it goes a lot lower. So let me move it. It goes a lot lower. This looks great. So I think with this, I am happy with it enough to make it editable. Yes. So just to confirm, I would like to look at more references. So we can zoom in here and see that there's a little notch here. And it's actually curved. It's not square. It's actually curved. And the curvature starts from here, from the tip, the very tip. All right, let's work on the neck. Now let's try and see if we can align our images together. I will go into this view to try and align it. Why I'm trying to align it is so I will extend the modeling. So I will enable X-ray. Then from here, right now it's still a parametric object. So I'll change it from a parametric object to an editable mesh by hitting the button C on the keyboard. So now I'll go into the face selection mode. Press 0 on my number pad to enable rectangle selection. Then select this. Currently soft selection is on, so I'll off that. So then select this. So I will move up slightly, scale in slightly. So now let me go back to the model selection mode, click on this our background, then let me move it slightly so that it aligns. So I'm going to keep on extruding till I form this shape. So right now I will press D on my keyboard. I've gone back to the face selection mode, then extrude. I'll extrude till I reach the height. Once I've reached the height, then I can now press KL to create a loop cut here. So this loop cut, press 0 on my keyboard, rectangle selection, select this, then I'll move this downward. We'll try our best to keep our modeling neat. Right now we're bringing everything to shape. All right, this is looking sweet already. I like this. All right, so under KL 0, move this to this side. Then move this to this side, move this. Let me add one here. Let me move this here and add one here. KL, move this to this side. Yeah. Remember, we'll still be adding our subdivision surface modifier, so it will smoothen out some of the kinks. So I have to keep this straight diagonally. All right, this looks great. So I'll just add one more here. I'll move this in. One more here. Move this in. Move this downward. All right. KL, cut again. 0. Move this in. KL. I think that should be enough. I don't want to bloat it up with too many segments. 0. Then I will take this up. Then I'll move this here. Yeah. Then that's better. Yeah, that's better. All right. So now I'll try and see if I can, adjust this. Yeah. Let me adjust this. Let me see if I can bring them to the same level. Yeah, let me bring them to the same level and add a KL again. Then move this one here. Yes, this works great. If I can add one more for here, I think that will be better with definition, but let me just leave it like this for now. Let me do it like for now. All right, this looks good. So I will go back to so you see This looks good from the front view only. It doesn't look too good from the side, because if you look at our references, this is the side view. You see that there's a notch here, and up here there's a bend, and it bends from this point. So it means from here it's meant to bend. So how we can do that is by using U on our keyboard and L. UL for loop selection mode, then going to the face select. Let's first click everything, Ctrl A, T on our keyboard. Let's make it a bit slimmer. Let's scale it on this axis. Just click this axis and drag. Yeah, let's bring it forward a bit so that it will extend outwards a bit. Yes, this looks great. So now from here, UL, let's go Ctrl Shift A to deselect everything. So then UL, click here, UF for face selection. This one, sorry, for field selection. This selects like a full plane. But because I've used a loop selection to select here, it will break it down. So I'll select this and move it backwards a little bit. So let's go back here. Yes, backwards a little bit. All right, this looks great. This looks really great. All right, so I'll just turn it a little bit to the side and rotate it to the side, and there, this works great. So now let's start adding the notches. So I'll hide this for now. Then to add the notches, let me disable X-ray. To add the notches, I'll add KL. KL will do loop cuts. We give us loop cuts, then cut it here. Then the move tool, click on it, press D on our keyboard and extrude. This gives us this. Now, just so you know, it is curved, it is not square. The back is curved, it's not square. It's only here that has a square is nature to it. So how we're going to go about is by adding KL, by adding on that loop cut, KL, hold down Shift to snap it to the center, click on it, note it cuts everything straight. So be careful with how you add loop cuts. So from here, I will go to the edge selection, press E to move to edit mode. Notice this again, so press L, then click on it, then move it upward. We have added this, then move this outward, for the curve. Move it outward for the curve, outward to the point that this reaches here. So let's see, outward to the point that this reaches here, and this still extends behind it. Okay, good. So that means UL, we'll do that again, UL, UF, then we'll still move this a bit further. Then click on this. Let's go back to the face selection mode. Select these two faces and move it backward even more. Then edge selection, click this edge, then move it backward. Yeah, till it aligns. All right, so it gives our curves. Awesome. So from here, let me see, this is a curve. I will bring these two down, these 2 points. I will bring these 2 points down, and I will bring them down from here. Shift select. All right, so I think this looks good. Let's add the subdivision surface modifier and let's see how it looks. All right, before we commit and start adding the edges and sharpening the edges, let's see if there's any questions here. All right, this looks good. So let's start committing. When you click on the cube, the framework shows. Now you are seeing the framework. Once you click on, this subdivision surface modifier, the cube is under it because we press Alt when we added the subdivision surface modifier. So now if you click on the cube, the framework shows. So with this, just KL and add loop cuts. When you add loop cuts, it tells it to sharpen it in that area. So you see, it sharpens it here. It bevels it, like it sharpens the bevel. Yeah, that's the word. Add the loop cuts here, it sharpens the bevel here. This is where it bends, so I'll add the loop cuts here, it sharpens the bevel here. All right, so I see it here too. The bevel is sharpened here. So add the loop cuts here, it sharpens the bevel there. All right, this is looking good. All right, this is looking good so far. I'm going to add a couple subdivisions here. Go into the edge selection mode, KL. So I will increase the subdivision in the viewport to 3 and in the render to 3. This will make it even smoother. So now let's get to modeling all the details. I want you to notice that there are a lot of screws. There's the flat head screw and there's the round screw, the round top screw that has a star on it. So let's make these 2 screws as they will come in handy later. So for the flat screw, watch carefully. We are going to use a new tool. Let me click on this. I selected all my geometry and press Alt G to group it. That's what I did. So now everything's inside a group and I can just hide it using this button here. So now to create the flat head screw, I'll just add a cylinder, set the height to about 10 centimeters, increase the rotation segment to where everything looks smooth. Then add in a cube, scale down the cube, then use these yellow points here. Use the parameter gizmos to adjust the cube to make it flat. Alright, this looks good. Raise it up a bit. This looks really good. For my modifiers, I'll add a bowl tool, a boolean tool. So I'll click the cube and the cylinder, then drag it under the bowl tool. And in tools like this, the order is very important. You must put the cylinder above the cube. What happens is that it cuts out the shape of the cube from the cylinder. You click on the bowl, you see the subtraction, so A subtracts B. Click on create single object, click on the cube, then you can still see the highlighted framework of the cube. This is what it means to be procedural. The fact that we can still adjust even after making a decision. Click on your bowl and press C to convert it to a geometry. So now, I know the topology will be a bit bad right now, so I will use the remesh to remesh the topology. Alright, the topology looks good. I'll click on the remesh, then press C on my keyboard, and we'll work with this for our flathead. This is our flathead screw. Alright, I really like this. So I'm going to try and bevel the edges. I'm going to use the bevel deformer. So add the bevel deformer, then put the bevel deformer under the remesh. Once you put the bevel deformer under the remesh, it will bevel the edges. So now I can go here and increase the resolution by increasing the subdivision here. It smoothens the bevel. Then let's add our star. That is a sphere. We are going to do the same thing. Let me hide the flathead. We are going to do the same thing. Add our sphere, then click on the sphere, then go into coordinates. Lower the scale of the sphere on this axis. From there, I'll add in the cube. If you don't click on the move tool, we are using a different tool. The yellow highlight might not show, so make sure you're on the move tool. So I'll click the move tool, then scale it down a bit. Okay, this looks good. Then let me scale it down. Yeah, this looks good. R on my keyboard, then hold down Control. R on my keyboard to enable the rotate gizmo, then hold down Control to duplicate and rotate at the same time. Now hold down Shift to snap it to 90. Alright, this looks good. So I will scale this down. Let me click this tool. I'll click this tool. Go into the object. Note, I selected this tool. Go into the object, scale down on the y-axis, increase the size on the y-axis, then press T on my keyboard and move it up a bit. Alright. So now I'm going to click on P1, the first cube and the. Now we have to find a way to join these two together, these 2 cubes together. An easy way to go about is to use the volume builder. So far I've introduced you to a couple tools now. Hope you're able to follow along with the tools. And at any point, if you get lost, put a comment in the comment section below and I'll get through to you there. Or you can reach out to me via email. That also works fine. Alright, so I'll add a volume builder, then drag the 2 cube under the volume builder. Then we get this weird thing. And I'm going to add a volume mesher. Then put the volume builder under the volume mesher. Makes it a mesh again. So now this is a mesh. So that the resolution is not the same we're working with before, right? So now I'll click on the volume builder, click on the voxel side, then set it to 4. Alright, this looks better. So now click on the volume mesher, then press C. Now it's a mesh again. Now add a bow, then put the sphere under, then put the volume mesh under that. Alright, note, you are putting the volume mesher on in the same layer with this. You don't put it under this here. You put it here on the same layer. You know that makes sense. So now with this, we can press C to our bowl, but it gives us 2 meshes. So we have to click our bowl. So like this, from this, we click our bowl, then create single object, then press C. Then I take it out, delete it. I click on the star head screw. I don't like the topology, so I'm going to remesh it. Okay, this looks way better, but it's still funny right here. So I'll just change it from mesh density to polygon count. This should look better and enable shading. This looks way better, way better. So I'll click on this, press C on the keyboard, and I have my mesh. So this is my star head screw. So from this, I'm going to add in a bevel. I'll put the bevel under the star, so just to chamfer the edges a little bit. So I'm going to increase the subdivision a little bit, increase the offset a little bit. Alright, I like this. So we have our star screw, then we have our flat screw. Alright, now let's make this thing. This is also a screw. Yeah, so I'm going to add a cube. Just so I will get the scale right. I want to get the proportions right. So I'll scale down. Let me use X-ray. Enable X-ray. Then I'll move this into place. And alright. So this is about the scale in reference to the entire geometry. You know, we modeled to this scale. That's helped us. So now I'm going to go back to the perspective view, then squash it down a bit more. All right, then I'll press C on my keyboard to make it or rather instead click it before I make it parametric. Convert this to a editable mesh. So from here I'll go back into the top view, then go into the edge selection mode and press KL, then add a loop cut just around here. It seems like I brought it a bit lower, so I'll press 0, select the entire, then move it up. All right, note we are not just selecting what is visible. If you want to select press visible only. What I'm selecting is both the front and the back, so that's why this selection works so well for me. All right, so we are done with this basically. The second, let's work on the other materials. So this is let's scale this down. We'll use this. I'm going to duplicate the cube right now. It seems I might use the cube later, so I'm going to disable it. So I'm going to click this cube, then scale it down. This will serve as our. All right, then move this down here. Add a symmetry. I'm going to click on it and go back into this mode. All right, so I'm going to take this like this. Press C on the keyboard to convert it to an editable mesh. Then move into edge selection. I'm going to cut it. Press 0, delete it, click on it. So I'm going to be moving very fast right now because we have a lot to cover. So based on the basic principles of the former one, I think this should not be much of a challenge based on the fact that I've shown all the modeling techniques I'll be using going forward. So unless I say something new, then I'll just keep speed ramping it. All right, so I added the symmetry. Now this is symmetrical. I'll click on the symmetry, move the symmetry here, click on the cube, go into edge selection, extend the edges here, KL, then extrude forward here. All right, so I'm adjusting the scale. All right, so then extrude again here. All right, so I think this looks good. So I'm going to click on here and extrude it a bit. All right, this looks really good. Let me go back to this view, then click on the symmetry, add the subdivision surface. All right, this looks good, this looks good. So I'll click on the cube, KL, add the subdivision here, add the subdivision here, add the subdivision here. Is it very curved? So add one here. No, it's very curved. It's a lot curved than that. So add one here, and I think one here. I think this extrudes out a little bit too. Now this look bloody similar. So now with this, I'm going to add a cylinder, then bring the cylinder into place, arrow on my keyboard, drag it and rotate it by 90 degrees by holding down shift, scale it down, zoom in, use the move tool to move it into place, scale it down. So now we have this. I'm going to duplicate this cylinder and leave it here. I'm going to go back into the scale it down. Not this, scale it down. All right, we're going to scale it down even more. All right, this looks good. So before the symmetry, okay, I'll do it. I'll put it here. I'll add the bow here, so it will be. I'll carry the cube under the bow, carry the cylinder also under the bow. So now we have this. That is the sitting of working in cinema for everything now is procedural so far. So we have this. Okay, not everything, but these are still not procedural, but you get the gist. Yeah? I can still manipulate this after the fact, right? So this looks good. This looks really good. I like this. This looks really good. So now with this, I can still click on the cube, then add, while holding down Alt, I'm going to add a torus. While holding down Shift, I'm going to add a torus. Yeah, I'm just going to scale down the torus, then move the torus up a bit. Yeah, yeah, move it up into position. Let's see. Yeah, all right, this won't work. I have to move it above the bow. Yeah, I have to move the torus above the bow, then rotate it by 90 degrees. Then remember the cylinder I saved that time. Why I saved it was because I needed to know the radius. The radius is at 0.53 centimeters. So I'll click the torus and make it 0.53 centimeters. Then I will the pipe radius. I need the pipe radius to be like 0.1 centimeter, or probably like 0.03 years, sort of. I need to be like 0.05. Okay, let's say 0.0809. Let's say 0.09. This works fine. They look fine. In the boot, I'm going to create scroll object. Then in the symmetry, I'm going to click weld on right. So it will weld this together. I'm going to lower the pipe segments. Yes, I don't need this much resolution. All right, so go to graph shading lines. Okay, you know what? I'll press C to the bow. So it will give me this. So it's no longer procedural. Click it, then remesh it. So we add the remesh, click the remesh. Instead of mesh density, we'll use polygon count and we'll set it to 200. Yes, this looks, and change from auto to shading. This looks nice. I like this. So from here, I'll just press C on my keyboard. I'm happy with this. I confirm this. I think the torus can benefit from more pipe width. Yeah. Okay, press C on the keyboard, then press C to the subdivision surface modifier. I'll move it here. Alright, then I'm going to use a new tool which I've not introduced yet, which is the cloner tool. So I'll click the cloner tool, then drag this under the cloner tool. Then in the cloner tool, the cloner will take it somewhere far away. You do that sometimes, especially if your setup origin is in a weird place. So yeah, so this is the cloner tool right now. Just taking it here. Let me change back to the graph shading. I'll click on the cloner tool, set it from grid to linear. I will move it back into place. Move it back into place. Alright. I will change the position of the cloning from the y-axis to 0, and I will increase it on the x-axis. Yeah, I'll drag it to where it looks right. I think this looks where it just stopped touching. Yeah, I think this will be like so 6. Perfect. So now we have 6 of this. Awesome. I'm going to click on this, then go into the edit mode, click on this, then extrude it, de-extrude. Alright, yeah, this is good. I'm going to use the bevel deformer to put under the cube. I'll increase the subdivision. Okay. Oh no, this doesn't give me what I want. I'm going to click the cube, add alt, add the subdivision surface modifier, then click on it, and start adding points at area that I feel like there should be points. So like here, then like here, like here. I think I'll like here. All right, let's enable our star screw. So I will move it, scale it down, rotate it. Now I'm going to use the reference again to get the proportions right, because proportion is everything. Let's make the screw. So to do that, we'll add a, okay, you know what, let me put all these into a group, call this body stuffs. All right, let's add a cylinder. I'm going to keep it procedural for the most part, and I'm going to add a helix. I'm going to rotate the helix at 90 degrees. We're going to click on the helix, then reduce the start radius to match the cylinder. The cylinder radius is 20. I'll make it 18 centimeter. Then I'll make the helix start to be 18. I'll make the helix end to be 18. Then I'll make the helix height to be about the height of the cylinder, which is 120 centimeters. That is the height, helix height, 120 centimeters. All right, so I'll move this into place. Right now you see the helix right here. I'll move this into place. So now I'll click on the helix, then increase the start angle, or rather reduce the start angle till I get enough strands. I like this. So now I'm going to add another spline, which is a circle spline. This spline, I'm going to lower the radius. I'm going to lower it to like 5 centimeters. Let me drag it out so we can see it. I'm going to add a new modifier, which is the sweep modifier. I'm going to add a new modifier, which is the sweep modifier. So now this modifier, I'll just drag the helix, then drag the circle. I'll drag the circle on top. Yeah. So now the circle follows the path of the helix in an extruded image. So I'll just lower the scale of the circle so that everything just comes together. So what remains now is the torus. I'm going to scale this down. I'm going to rotate this by 90 degrees, scale it down. I'm going to scale it down, move it to the side a little bit, and duplicate it, move to the side a little bit. Parametric. I'm keeping everything parametric so I can add in more details. So I'm going to click everything and Alt G, put everything in my group. I'll put everything in my group. All right, so I'm going to move it down here. So I have a big screw. All right, so I'm going to put the screw into position. Okay, now this benefit of keeping it procedural. You see that here now in the reference now it's thinner and it's shorter. So here now I can just go here, click the torus, so click the cylinder and lower the height to where I want the height to be. Let's say lower the height to like 4 centimeters. Let's say like 4 centimeters. No, let's say 5. Let's say 5 now. Click the sweep, click the helix, then lower the height to like 5 centimeters. All right. Then drag it into place. I can use Expresso to link these two together, but that will just make the tutorial very complicated. Then I'll just drag it down a little bit. 0.7. Let's say the start radius 0.7, the end radius 0.7, and this 0.72. All right, I think this looks good. Yeah, I'll move it like this a little bit. So now I'm going to find my cloner and drag it under the surface stuff here, in the surface folder in the cloner, and it will scatter it somewhere. Where are you now? Okay, it's here. And you know why it's like that? Because if I disable the cloner, the screw is here, and where's my torus? My torus is here. Remember, I moved it in the beginning. When I was moving them. So one way I can just do to combat this is drag this under the remesh, then go to coordinates, then right click by hovering here, right click, then right click, then it just drags it into position for me. That's just one sweet way to go about it. All right. I don't know, there's a better way to go about it, but what works. Keep that in mind. All right, so we have gotten this down. All right, we have gotten this down. So now let's put it into position. Where's the body? What is this? Let's carry the body stuff into the guitar. Then I will drag it. In front. Yeah. Oh, where's the second screw? I forgot to carry the other screw. So I'll just duplicate this. Control drag on the should work. So I'll just drag this into place. This is coming together so nicely. Now I'm going to create this. Now this looks a little tricky, but don't be scared. Don't be scared. There are a lot of ways to get about this. Then rotate the cylinder by holding down shift 90 degrees. Reduce the depth of the cylinder. Let's scale down the cylinder till it matches one of the edges. Okay. So what I can do is click the cylinder, then scale it on the x-axis and match the stiffness. So with this, I'll click the cylinder. I'll reduce the rotation segment to 6, then press C on the keyboard. Then go here. The topology is crap, but we don't need good top. Then add KL, press Shift, add a loop cut here, then click all this. All right. So what we'll just do is we drag it to the middle, then we'll delete it. Then we'll add a symmetry. Sometimes symmetry is to not start from where I want it to start. So to combat this, is starting from where I don't want it to start. So I can just move this out till it matches, then put it back into place again. I think this works fine. So let me just click let me drag it to the middle properly. All right, then click the cylinder, go into the edit edge selection mode, select the end, go to the center. All right, so I'm going to add a cut here by holding down shift. I'm going to add a cut here by holding down shift. I'm going to use the point selection mode, press 0, then click on it, then drag it, click on this to shift, click on this to, and drag it into position a bit, then use T and scale it out a bit in this direction. Sometimes I don't understand what is going on. All right, I see the problem now. I don't think I need this level of depth. I'm going to enable weld and press C on the keyboard, then move the cylinder upward, delete the cylinder, then use solution surface modifier, then click the cylinder, then go into edit mode, UL, select the edges, move these edges backward a little bit, then KL, this edge, and we are good. Okay, we are good. So I will duplicate this, then move it upward. All right, we are good. Then I'm going to shift, add a cube, then take the cube outside, scale the cube down, then move it into position, then scale it down, move it into position again. I'm going to select it, then enable X-ray. All right, I think I like this. So I'm going to bevel the edges. Not this kind of bevel. I think. Okay, before I bevel, let me just do the Boolean operation. Now I'm going to bevel it now. I'm going to click on the edges I want to bevel, or the edges I want to chamfer. Then right click, then use the chamfer tool, the bevel tool, then bevel it. And once you are still in the bevel tool, you can still adjust it here. Then increase the subdivision. I can still adjust it a little bit more. Yeah, I think this looks good. So from here, I still add on that cube, move it up, scale it down. Let me hide this. Let me see. Okay, scale it down, then click on the cube in the edit mode, in the model mode rather. Then move it here, scale it down a little bit. Yeah, move it here, scale it up a little bit. All right, this looks good. So I'm going to add a bowl to put this there, put this under it, then enable this. I'm going to disable X-ray. Let me see if there's any overlap. No overlap really. Let me click this too. All right, no overlap. Click on the bowl object, then create something of there. From here, I'll just duplicate this cube because I feel like I might need it later. Let me hide it for now. Then click here, press C, then Alt G everything. I'll call it pick up. It seems there's a little something here, so I'm going to enable this cube. Click on it, scale it down a little bit. All right. Let me see. I'm going to duplicate the star screw, bring it back up here, put it under this cube, then right click here, so it can just appear magically where I want it to appear. All right, I'm going to click on this bowl to take this out of the bowl, delete this. I'm going to X-ray this, so I'll add this screw wherever I want it to be. So I feel like this is not smooth enough, so I'm going to first retopolize it. Use this retopo, click on the remesh, click on the shadings. Polygon count, there's not enough polygons. 2000 is too much. Let's use 200. All right, then from this I'll add the remesh. This is better. Yeah, I can work with this. So press C on the keyboard for this. Go here, go into the edit mode. Hopefully it's not trash. Then go to the edge and add a very sharp one here. All right, I think I want one sharp one here. I think I want one sharp one here. I'd have loved to have one down there, but I want one here. I want one here. Okay, let's add this circle stud. Right now you see your scene is getting really dense. The scene is getting really dense. So this is why you must always work with the topology and make sure the topology is good. I'm going to hold one of the screws and press shift and add a cylinder. So the cylinder will be under it. So I'm going to move the cylinder out. Then I will scale down the cylinder. You see how everything is just a big makeup of shapes. We're going to extrude it out a little bit since it will be inside the model. It does not really matter. So I'm going to increase the segment, rotation segment to where it's smooth enough. So now where do I place it? I can't see where to place it. So I'm going to move the entire pickup. The orientation is not orientating. Let me call this stud since I'll be using it more often from now. Let me call it, I know that it might come in handy and I can't see it. So I'll click on the stud so that you can see it. Go to basic and add custom. Select everything inside the group. Okay, everything inside the group, then Alt G so that my center of origin will be at the center. My center of origin will be at the center. So I'll just move everything to the side here. All right, so since I might use a cloner, for this stud, so I'm going to decide here, scale it down a bit more, Let's add a cloner. Oh, this time it didn't move by the cloner. I'm going to make it linear into 0, extend it. Sometimes it does weird things like that. A quick way around it could be just to rotate the entire cloner. So it could be from here. Yeah. This should fix it. So I will take this 0, 0. I'm going to extend in the Z axis. I think this is the end point I want. So now there are two ways to extending. I made a video on it, which is you can extend per step, which means as you add step, you keep on extending. Or you can extend by endpoints, which means as you add it, it fills in between here and the endpoint that I set, which is this. I'm going to use per endpoint, so 6 here. Then I think I'll just clone once downward. Oh, I think that's better for me to use the grid then. 0, 0, 0. But I'm going to increase it, so let's see how it comes out. So I want this to be 0, I want this to be 0, 1, I want this to be 1 rather. I'm going to extend it here. Okay, all right. So now I'll clone it. I'm going to extend it here a little bit. Set the clone to 2. I'm going to bring the endpoint here. All right, this looks good. I'm going to set per endpoint and increase this one to 6. All right, and probably reduce the scale so that two of them will be at the center in a more natural way. Now a good way to save RAM, you just use the multi-instance. Just put it on multi-instance. It will save a lot of RAM. The laptop will not lag later down the line. All right, so use the move tool to move it in. I think that's all the details you need to add for this. So now I'm going to do this, then finish it up. So it's going to be a speed ramped process.